All right, and we're back. It was a big week, and we have a big week coming up. We are smack dab in the middle of the Florida opener for the Elite Series, and we had an old school one.
We love to see
had an old school one.
A swim jig, no live scope. Beautiful.
Oh, we are Durbin and Humminbird today is trying to capitalize with Dollar Bill. They put a little post out there of him scoping with the freaking thing. Like, you get a guy that you can do both. I'm like, he ain't doing that. Dollar Bill ain't doing that.
I looked at that. I saw that on Instagram like right before we hopped on, and I was like, is Humminbird really like pumping a Mega Live 2 promo with Bill Lowen after he just won it on a sloppy black and blue jig and didn't even have his Mega Live turned on?
In my opinion, this would have been a golden time for Humminbird to push their Mega 360. Because that could be like
Mega 360 would know.
Gives you something to point out, like, I don't know. But show Dollar Bill scoping spots on Lanier or whatever. Like, let him get after it. But that's awesome. That feels so good. That totally tanked my fantasy, but that's totally okay with that. I loved watching it. It just felt right. It just felt good this week. This week felt really good.
What didn't feel good was, to be honest, that I hate to poo-poo anything because it was a cool event. What didn't feel good was having a 4-fish winner on the final day.
Yeah.
that it just felt like the final day was just like the same story for everybody, and the story was like didn't quite get it done.
Well, forgive me if I'm wrong here, didn't John Garrett drop like a sack?
That was the third day.
That's kind of the main one I'm getting at, with like left the door wide open. John Garrett caught like 31 something
right
on the third day, and then on the final day he only caught 3 fish and had like 12 and a half.
Nice. Yeah, that's right. That's where I mixed it up a little bit.
So
I didn't watch much of the third day. What was he doing on the third day?
He wasn't on live.
6XD to the dome. That's what he was doing.
He was in like 40th
on a bed.
No, I'm assuming what he was doing was what he was doing on day 4, because on the 4th day he sat in the same spot the whole day.
That's what I saw, and I was assuming he was fishing like a current break or something. I don't know.
He was fishing right up against the seawall, and he was throwing what looked like a DT-14.
Oh, I saw. I thought he was throwing like a Senko.
He was Carolina rigging a Senko and throwing a crankbait.
Yeah, he was going TVA on him.
Yeah, but he was throwing a DT-14 right up against that wall.
No, don't you dare say that. Don't you dare confuse sponsors. John Garrett's Strike King. And if he had a DT-14 on, he should be hung from the highest tree in the South. That was a 5XD.
Are you sure about that?
No, I'm just trying to save him. I think he's a good one.
I'm pretty sure that was a DT. I'm pretty sure it was. But anyway, so he must have been fishing like some deep hole up against that wall. Yeah. But if you think about a thing like John Garrett was probably thinking like, to win this tournament, I got to bust another big bag. I caught all giants on this spot yesterday.
Just go for broke.
It's all I got.
And he catches 2 big ones there right away. And I didn't see him much towards the end of the day because he wasn't really on live because he wasn't catching anything. But I'm assuming he probably sat on it all day, like swinging for the fences, when the reality was if he just like went and found 2 more keepers, he probably wins the tournament.
Yeah. That's a strategy at that point. If you don't have confidence in anything else, don't fish it. But you also, in the words of Kenny Rogers, you got to know when to hold him, you got to know when to run. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, though, is I can't blame him. I probably would have done the same exact thing because you're definitely
just caught 30.
You're definitely not expecting Bill Lowen to come in with 10 pounds.
No, you're not.
Like,
you're expecting him to drop at least another 17, 18 pounds, and
he probably thought he probably thought he needed to catch 2 more of those 4+ caliber fish he was catching to have a shot.
Yeah. Sucks, but hey, dollar bill loan gets it done with the swim jig instead.
Yeah, I mean, seeing a guy like Bill still win a tournament feels good because it's like, okay, it's not all over.
Yeah, it's not.
You
it's
know,
not all the
they
little...
can still do it that way.
He won another one in recent memory. What was his other one?
Pickwick.
I forget
when it was flooded.
Pickwick, yeah.
Throwing a jig, though. Throwing a jig.
Yeah, swim jigging around.
He was throwing the same jig.
Yeah.
I think that's all
Black and blue.
I mean,
yeah, it's his it's his own like jig. It's like I think
all
they're
train
like
tackle
hide jigs.
Yeah.
Like you
all
could buy
train
like
tackle.
just the plain jig head and put your own skirts on it.
Well, he's big, make your own, you know. And he did a little breakdown on Bassmaster. I mean, that's that Ohio river fishing right there, I guess. Good for
shows
good for
that if you just stick with it, something you're really good at, I feel like you'll eventually. You might not be like always winning, but I mean, there's always one tournament a year. I feel like he's like kind of up there in contention. He's managed to stick to them.
I mean, this comes down to like what we were talking about last week and like the difference of the schedules from last year to this year. Like this is only one event, and like probably any event on the St. Johns any time of year is probably not going to be dominated by live scope. Like it might play sometimes, but like we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But like last year was just a dream schedule for forward-facing sonar. And
no, you're starting out instead of 40. You're starting out at a pre-spawn in Toledo Bend when it's too cold for them to really even start. You know, that really early. You can almost, instead of a pre-spawn, you could call that a spring transition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you have those shallow guys. They went up there, you know, where they should be. Hackney, Christie, you had them on live, and they sucked. And that was just the reality of it. And yeah, got Koya just shaking the old French fry around. But
well, that's fellas, the thing is, I mean,
I need to do a quick transition out to the shop. I'm just going to go on mute, but I'm going to the shop. I will be.
This kid.
He's the absolute worst person I know. But so why doesn't he just start in there if he knows he's going to go out there?
That's what.
It's infuriating. But like obviously it's gonna become a thing, and there are gonna be live scoping tournaments, and there are gonna be live scoping winners. But I think we're definitely gonna see a lot more of this type of stuff this year as opposed to what we saw last year.
Lacrosse, the Sabine, those are not gonna be hopefully not live scope dominated, which
no. And I mean that Pasquotank River.
Yeah, that one I'm excited for.
I think that has potential to be one of the coolest tournaments in a really long time.
Yeah. I didn't even like realize until last year.
Interject about the Pasquotank. Now that has the opportunity to be a really good shallow water tournament. But you have to remember, this isn't the first major event there in recent memory. MLF was there last year.
Yeah. They were on the challenge.
They were on with the Challenge River
system, though.
It's the same system. It's
just where they launch out of. You're able to access both of those rivers from that.
But
I guarantee that there will be guys in the Chowan River. Tournament.
100%.
And Drew Gill and Matt Becker were crushing them doing the whole scope thing.
Well, here's the thing.
Scope, and they were using scope as a tool and getting fish out of brush.
Well,
you know.
Here's the thing. A lot of people's takeaways, like what we just talked about, was, Bill Lowen winning the tournament up shallow, throwing a jig, this, that, and the other. But the top three were all within like 4 or 5 ounces of each other.
Yeah.
And 2 and 3 were live scoping mostly.
True.
I mean, Shane LeHue was caught pretty much every fish except for his big one on the last day. Live scoping a jerkbait in the canals, fishing around the outside dock pilings and fishing for fry garters and stuff, doing shallow live scope. Granted, he couldn't he wasn't able to get all the way there with just live scope, because the only reason he even came close was because he stumbled across a 7-pounder on a bed on day 4 and caught it.
With that, you're not really you're doing live scope as a tool still. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he still caught a majority of those fish, throwing the jerkbait around, but he was just enhancing it. You know, do we know if Lowen had his live scope on at all?
I don't know.
His Mega Live, because I'm wondering if if he occasionally watching one follow the swim jig, you know, or if he saw one swimming around the stump.
He did mention like how there were like steep vertical drops on the bank and how he was fishing laydowns in like deep water and trying to like keep the jig up. So like, I don't know if he was like looking at it the whole time, but I'd imagine at some point he got the lay of the land from that because of the way he was describing it.
I mean, a guy like that, he just understands contours though too. You know what I mean? Like he could put a jig at whatever column he wants just by his muscle memory.
But I mean, it's something like, listen, in this day and age, if you are fishing a jerk, like people are like, oh, he's fishing a jerkbait on live scope around the pilings. It's like, well, if you're fishing a jerkbait and you have live scope on your boat, if you're not looking at the live scope while you're fishing a jerkbait, what are you doing?
Right. No, there's no
like that's not really live scoping. That's just what throwing a jerkbait is now.
Is today. That's 100% correct.
If I'm fishing any bait in a situation where I'm able to see it, I'm going to be looking at it.
You might as well.
I mean, I look at my chatterbait on live scope. Like,
I look at the game.
Flipping docks, you're still looking at a scope half the time just to see if you can see anything around.
Even if you're not looking for your bait, you're looking for signs of life. You're looking for behavior where stuff is setting up at. You know, it's just it's the game. So you wonder if he still incorporates that to make his swim jig game more efficient, or if he's just total Randall.
It did not. I mean, I'm sure it was on, but he definitely wasn't like when you watch them fish, right? If you watched a back-to-back Bill Lowen, Shane LaHue, and Jay Shakurit. You watch Shane LaHue and Jay Shakurit, they're like, you could tell they're staring at it the whole time. Bill Lowen didn't look like that. It was probably on. He was probably glancing at it, but he wasn't looking at it all day.
He was locked on his targets more than anything from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, he caught one. He caught his big one on the final day that won him the tournament, punching a mat.
Yeah.
I know he caught 2 big ones punching his mats.
Yeah. So, you know, he was just in, you know, that was just old school winning a tournament. He was in an area that had a lot of fish, and he was just slinking around doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and getting as many bites as he could.
Yeah. And he managed to stick some good ones.
Yeah.
Old school bassin'.
And I mean, that right there is stuff where, like, I could see people saying the opposite of what I'm about to say right now, because, like I said, he only caught 4 fish on the final day. But this is why I don't like when other tournaments do a reset on the final day. Because
he would have lost
it. Doesn't come anywhere near winning this tournament. And I still think that his first 3 days, like, he was able to dominate by a wide enough margin 3 days in a row that, like, he did so much better than everybody else that they weren't able to catch up. Like, I don't think it's fair to take that away from him.
And at the end of the day, that's management. You know what I mean? That's managing your fish to the best of your ability. You know, it's like he had the river was fishing so small. And he was lucky enough that I think the only other guy was that Canadian rookie.
Evan Kung.
Yeah, shout out Evan Kung. But he was also in that creek. And it's like you don't have the opportunity to manage your fish in a way where in the MLF format where you could say, oh, I could save these. I could, you know, I'm not going to burn this, not going to burn that. He did exactly how he had to do. You know, he caught as much weight as he could because that's all he had. You know, and sometimes that's all you can do is just fish one stretch of your best water so efficiently.
Yeah.
So that's the name of the game.
If this was if this was if these weights reset on the last day, I think I don't remember who, but
comes
Jay
in what, ninth?
Sherritt or Shane LaHue, one of those two would have won the tournament, not Bill Lowen. So
they're wishing it was MLF for the day, but
yeah, they probably do. But I don't know. This is how fishing, like I said, this is how fishing has always been for me growing up and watching everything, and that's how I want it to. That's how I want it to be. That's how every other tournament is. And I thought it was. I mean, here's the thing, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Like for the guys who are complaining about how live scope ruins every tournament, and then turn around and are complaining about how, oh, he only had 4 fish on the last day and won the tournament. It's like, well, that's what happens, buddy, when you're fishing an old school grinder.
That's just how it goes.
You know,
that's what I love to
like,
see. This one was an old school grinder. Just
I think
it was
blowing it out.
It was a good old fashioned river tournament.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get. Now that we have a lot more river tournaments coming, I'm very excited to see how the rest of the season comes.
Yeah,
it's a nice preview.
Yeah, Okeechobee. I'm like, not. I feel like Okeechobee's overplayed now, but especially with how the lake's been doing. But it'll be interesting to see what happens this time.
Major tournaments shouldn't be on Okeechobee right now, and that's just we could dive into that for hours.
This is way just
based off the ecological health of that place right now and the way it's managed. It is not a tournament fishery. And
the fish is so small now because there's only like 3 places you can even fish anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be on their tail, but I guess maybe it's a Chamber of Commerce type thing, trying to pump tourism into the area. I don't know what the whole thing is.
I mean, here's the thing.
Out a bag to get people to show up, but I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing with the Okeechobee tournament, right? Like the weights are definitely going to look way more impressive than the St. Johns weights did. But I think about it as a thing like you going into the St. Johns, right? And maybe I'll be eating my fists at the end of the week and something weird will happen, but I don't think it's possible. You go into the St. Johns, there's a million different things that could happen, a million different ways somebody could win. Nobody had Bill Lowen in a little tiny creek throwing a black and blue sloppy swim jig all week, winning the tournament. Nobody picked that out. For Okeechobee next week, there are 2 options. There are 2 options. That's it. A guy is going to win in a grass bed with 800 other people there, or a guy's going to win live scoping in the Rim Canal. Those are the only 2 things that can happen. They're the only 2 things that can happen.
And we just get to find out which one.
Yeah.
I'd make a bet right now, and it's a big bet, but it's a bet, that I would say 75% of the field will be on live this week. At one point, there will be a camera on 75% of the field.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
I see.
It's just gonna pan over and there's gonna be 50 boats. It's gonna be like the upper bay. It's gonna be a little flats look.
Yeah, but that's the problem is these flats that these guys are fishing are like a third of the size of the flat at the bay. Like
it's everyone fishing the ditch. Like that's it.
Yeah, that lake's in a bad spot, man. It really is. Especially from what it used to be. I mean, I was talking to some kids who are down at that college event and talking about areas that used to be like community hole areas, and they're like, oh yeah, no, the water's shit brown in that whole section of the lake. Like,
it's what happens when you kill all the grass. It's a crazy concept.
2 of my buddies, they got second, but they were just around everybody else, and they just got them the right ones. They caught a lot
in that grass bed down on the south end.
I believe so. Yep.
That's where I mean, unless something has changed over the past 2 weeks, that's where everybody's going to be. It's going to be very, very loaded down there. I think there's one other spot on the north end that could play, but I don't think it will.
They're just chucking the worm.
Yep.
That's it.
Someone's gonna win just outside the off limits of the weigh-in zone.
Yeah,
where everybody drops. Scoping right there in like one of the canals.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm really interested to see how that dynamic plays out.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see the whole, like, is it going to be another Jeff Gussie situation? At Knoxville with
everybody's
Tyler Rivette
on the
on
Tyler
the crappie
Rivette
hole.
now. Yeah.
Is Tyler Rivette going to bring out, not just his big old guns, but probably a small firearm to scare people away?
Well, my question with it is, right, like, that's not a secret immediately after he wins that tournament. It's been, 2 years now?
Yeah.
Off that tournament. I know guys in the Open last year were doing that type of thing. I don't know how many, but I know at least a few of them did well doing that type of thing. I don't know if it was in the same spot or somewhere else in one of the different canals or in the rim canal or whatever. But I know guys were doing the live scoping in the canal thing and did well. But my question is, how does a bite like that hold up to pressure? Like, is that a specific thing that he was doing, or are there multiple areas throughout these canals where you can do it? Because, like, it's definitely been blown to bits over the past 2 years in major tournaments and by locals and stuff. And you don't really, like I said, I know that it played for some guys in the Open, but I haven't seen, at least in any covered tournament, anybody else do that and win a tournament since Tyler Rivette did. So
I'm just looking at it right now. Now, his canal was right where he was fishing in the rim canal was on the north end, right? Was there anything specifically in there?
He wasn't actually in the rim canal. Yeah. He was in a canal that shoots off to the east side of the lake, I believe. Let me look at the lake real quick. I can tell you.
So he wasn't in the Kissimmee River then?
No, he was in the Kissimmee River. It's kind of just a canal there. It's not really a river yet, but
yeah, he was just up the Kissimmee, right?
He was right on the
There's
first
that bend. Yeah, that bend,
right
and
on
there's
the
that little
first
cut going north. There's that little cut, but it stops and it's split by a road and then it keeps going as if it's a canal.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there,
well, they've been getting a lot of rain down there. And I can get some current moving around there,
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that positions them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think most likely scenario is everybody's going to be fishing on top of each other, and one guy is going to catch them a little better, and that's what it's going to be. So,
yeah.
Well, we'll dive into who we think's going to catch him better in a schmecken.
Yeah, but before we get to that,
we want to talk about. We were talking about how, we have our big winners. Talk about a loser or an unfortunate loss in the fishing world.
Yeah, so we got to touch on it because it happened. So apparently, and this is what I've heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bass is doing a new thing now this year where every tournament they're randomly polygraphing 5 anglers at the end of it. Yeah. I believe that's what it is. There's been no public press release about them doing that, but what I've heard is that the new norm is, I think, 5. I don't know if that number is right, but there will be a random group of anglers polygraphed at the end of every single tournament. One of those anglers at the end of the St. Johns was Matt Herren, and he was found in violation of a no information rule, was disqualified from the tournament, and now on his own accord has completely quit the Bassmaster Elite Series altogether.
Hey, he didn't miss out on his entry fees this year.
Hopefully he didn't pay it all already.
He was a big proponent of he was a big part of that angler committee, I know.
He was doing a lot. I remember I was listening to some other podcast. I know, sue me for treason, but he was on some other pod talking about his role in the angler committee because he's been around for a while. And I mean, I'm not calling Matt a troublemaker, but one of the things you think about is Matt Herren is when who cut him off? Who cut him off? You remember that tournament?
Randall Tharp.
Randall Tharp. That was one. That was a thing. But Matt's been a staple. And if you break a rule, you break a rule. I mean, I guess I don't know what any of the specifics on it, but
So there's a couple interesting things to say about it. One, like, I don't know if it's tough because I want them to be harder on guys and I want guys to get penalized for breaking rules and stuff, but it's hard to lean like full disqualifications on just a polygraph.
Oh, absolutely.
Legitimacy of a polygraph. Like
yeah,
you were saying
you're not even allowed to use them in court anymore because of how often they're wrong. Exactly. And here's the other thing about it, and however you feel about the JT Tompkins situation at the end of last year, he swears that he didn't do anything wrong and that it was a bad polygraph and it got read wrong. And every single person who fails one of these polygraphs is always going to say that. And what are you going to say back to them? You can't there's nothing you can say to that it's going to be a he said, she said every single time. Yeah. And like, you, unless they do some kind of other like further investigating or get some kind of hard proof of what these situations actually were, like these polygraph results are going to be an inconclusive social media storm of Bass versus this guy. Oh, we believe this guy because he seems nice. Oh, this guy's unpopular, so he probably did cheat. Blah, 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 blah. And it's going to be that every single time.
Yeah. If Bass is playing judge, jury, and executioner, in my honest opinion, Bass should put these things up, especially when it comes to disqualifications, because you're playing with a man's check. This knocked him. He was in the cut. He got paid. That took away his pay. That bumped up Ike. Go Ike. But basically, what I'm getting at, never give up.
Even after the tournament is over,
this up to a jury of their Bass and peers, and let them know, and come up with something that's going on there. Because depending on the severity of the no information rule, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if that was the specific on it. I don't know any of the specifics. I'm not going to come out here. I'm not Slick Johnson. I don't know everything. Shout out St. Johnson. That's how I heard that, this happened. So he has reliable information. Sure. But, we're not a tabloid here at BumsTalkBass.
I don't know.
But I like the idea of just, letting people decide.
I don't know everything. I don't know everything either, but there are strong rumblings that point towards, it seems like the general consensus of people who are in the know think that whatever it is that Matt Herren did wasn't actually that big of a deal.
Gosh, that's why he left, because he was probably like, F this. I'm not, dealing with these people anymore.
From what I heard in that video, it sounds like to me he's engaging in legal action with Bassmaster because he mentioned that he couldn't say anything yet.
Yeah, and that means you're doing the thing.
Yeah, and he wasn't able to disclose the details. So I'm assuming that is what's going on. Like I said, I've heard some rumors, and I don't want to get in the way of Matt Herren's legal case, so I'm not going to say anything. But, it sounds like sketchy polygraphing at best.
It's just crazy to be able to DQ someone off of just a polygraph alone. Like no evidence, no nothing. Just
listen.
You know what? Your heart ticked a beat slightly higher here. We're gonna get you out of here.
Matt Herren's an old guy. Maybe he has an irregular heartbeat.
Yeah.
If I'm taking a polygraph, when it gets to the information part, the no information rule part's the scary part. Because everybody knows that's the scary part. I don't know exactly how a polygraph works, but I'm probably nervous during the no information part, even if I didn't do anything.
Well, like we were saying earlier today, before the pod, it's just like, what is a no information? Like, you and I talk about tournaments. You know, Zub, we call each other about tournaments all the time. You know, you're just shooting the shit with your buddy, and your buddy mentions a spot, and you have no intention of ever going there. You have no intent, or like a color or anything on a body of water. Now you know that information. Do you?
Yeah, it's like
what
I
do you
didn't
do with
ask
that?
for it.
Yeah, or like you're fishing and you're just fishing down the bank, and someone tells you something. That's information. What do you do? You can't. You technically received it. You know, how many times have you been going down the bank and some homeowner was like, "Yo, fish under my dock. There's 7-pounders under there." Like, you're not gonna not fish that dock.
That's all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, who can forget the ultimate example of this? Do we remember the Jason Christie Edwin Evers Classic?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That guy came out on the bridge and goes, "Hey, Jason, Edwin's got 30 pounds."
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Jason Christie didn't even go, "Hey, stop telling me that." He said, "Edwin's got what?" He asked him again.
Yep.
And they broadcasted that on TV and nobody got DQ'd for that. I don't know. I just think the polygraph stuff is sketchy, man.
Guilty until proven innocent, you know?
It's sketchy at best. And I don't know if there's I don't think this is even possible. I don't think you can get people to agree to this. I don't even know if you're legally allowed to do something like this. But I was thinking, like, what if you have everybody sign something in the beginning of the season that says, listen, the polygraph test does not determine any rulings, right? But it's a precursor to, if you fail a polygraph test, we're now able to launch an investigation where you have to give us access to your text messages, your social media messages, yada, 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 so that they can attempt to come up with concrete proof of something, and then there can be a DQ based on that.
I think there's only one way that Bassmaster can get some backing on that, and that's if they actually cover the entry fees, not cover a part of them. If Bassmaster's putting the money up front, that's when that comes in. If guys are still dishing out their own money, I don't see that happening. And I guess that's why Herren went bad. You know, he was just like, why am I being legally punished for something maybe he didn't, you know? Like I said, it could have been something so trivial. And I feel like for him to just run out of a pretty dang good fishing career after the first tournament, before a tournament that he's probably going to do good, and during a season where someone like Matt Herren can probably make a couple bucks.
And a classic.
And the classic. I don't need. He was probably in the classic, but maybe next year he can make that. You know, like
the NPFL is still like a new unstable thing. Like, by leaving the Elite Series, you're putting yourself in a position where, like, you could not be a professional angler at all in a couple of years. Like, so
I know one of the Mercer podcasts, he was one of the big advocates for non-forward facing, because he said he was going on his thing. He's going to the NPFL. Yeah. So maybe this has also been something in the works where he
did mention in his video that that
posted a video.
Yeah, he posted a video. Yeah. He did mention in his video that, like, there had been previous issues, and this was something he was already considering. He's saying that he was thinking about not rejoining the Elite Series for quite some time now, and this was just kind of like a straw that broke the camel's back moment. I don't know what those other issues are, but clearly there's a decent bit more to the story than just Matt Herren broke a no information rule.
And I'm sure there's a lot more that we're going to be finding out.
Yeah, it might take a while, especially if this turns into a type of legal battle. But at some point, we're going to know what happened. And like I said, I think it's going to be significantly bigger than, or not bigger, but significantly deeper than somebody sent Matt Herren a waypoint, because I don't think that's what happened.
I don't think a guy who's made his whole career on that, on, you know, pure old school bassing, is just going to take a waypoint package. I would be very shocked.
I don't know Matt Herren. I'm not personal friends with him. He seems like a grumpy, angry guy. He doesn't seem like a cheater.
No, he seems like a very, you know, he's an old school bassing man. Yeah. I feel like that's someone, if he's done it right his whole career, you're not going to start now. You're gonna.
Why would you risk getting waypoints at a place you've already been to like 8 times?
Yeah, probably. You
like,
know what I mean?
At a place you've already been to like 8 times in a climate where you know this stuff is being watched heavier than ever. You know they're doing random polygraph tests. Like, why would you
open that box?
Why would you risk that? And speaking of opening that box, I'm not going to open this box, but I am going to say that it's interesting to see the bottom of the leaderboard in the polygraph era. But we'll just keep going. But it's I don't know.
Well, do you mind if I open another box?
Open a box.
I'm going to open one more box because we talked about long live the elites. I'm a big Bassmaster guy. However, the MILFs did something this week too. This was the first invitational, and they did something kind of different this year. The MILFs had an invitational on the old Casimir chain, and they did something that I just want to touch on really quick because we could really dive into it. They made you check out your forward-facing sonar the second day of the tournament.
Yep.
They made you lock it on up.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tougher derb.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, guys?
I really wish they wouldn't schedule that on the same week as Bassmaster Elite Series tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, I didn't watch any of it because I was watching another tournament. Like,
I saw like
a little
one
bit.
clip of highlights
for some fellas. I saw some things. It was a tougher tournament. That cold front was really nasty there. Forget his name. Al, you looking up the champ of that one?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
A younger guy won, right?
Ryan Armstrong, wire to wire winner.
So, scope on day 1, no scope day 2. Do they get it back on day 3?
Yes.
Interesting.
And let me tell you, it's interesting to see.
How many guys dropped on day 2?
Drew Gill, second place. 25 day 1. 16 day 2. 19.5 day 3.
Interesting.
Banks Shaw, 22 day 1, 17 day 2, 22 day 3.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just purely showing it there. You know, Florida is a hard place to judge.
But then you have Josh Weaver, 17 day 1, 28 day 2,
damn,
15 day 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
his fish must have been feeling the ping, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. He was scaring them off on day 1.
Yeah, they must have been feeling the ping.
It's like,
yeah, I didn't watch anything from this tournament besides like some highlight clips on social media. I don't find this format to make any sense.
I think the only reason they do it is, I mean, gosh, it's the same reason that New Jersey Bass Nation doesn't let you guys use your nets. You know, because the whole premise behind the invitationals is preparing guys, is preparing anglers for the Bass Pro Tour. And when you're doing a format like that, you can't, do a 7-month-long tournament like MLF.
Yeah.
But I guess you can. I see where they went with it. I don't know how I feel. I like the way the elites are running it now, limit it. I think it's a part of the game. People really aren't watching the invitationals, religiously. People follow them, but I don't know.
I would be watching it.
Taking scope away.
I would have watched the whole tournament if it wasn't the same week as the Elite Series.
That too. That's very fair. Whenever fishing's broadcast, but I just don't know if the Invitationals has that cult following. Since they don't have the Pro Tour anymore, there's just so much.
There's so much coverage, like live coverage for just one tournament. It's almost impossible to watch the whole thing, let alone have two of them at the same time. But I mean, the highlights I saw looked pretty cool. It looked like, I don't know. Looking at these results, it wasn't that tough.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that tough. But it definitely.
The top 5 was all over 20 a day.
That's good.
I guess that's fair. You think that Kissimmee this time of year that was a pre-spawn slugfest.
Yes, but also
that front for the conditions.
The guy who won had a 29-pound bag. You had Josh Weaver have a 28-pound bag. I'm seeing 25s all over the place. That's what it is. To have a guy catch 28, 29 pounds 3 days on the Kissimmee chain in a row, that doesn't happen 3 days in a row when it's fishing at its absolute best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I think it's pretty on par for what that chain is. But
they dang got him then. They got him good.
I think the Okeechobee results are going to be
abysmal.
No, I don't. I think they're going to be.
You think it's going to be good?
I think it's going to be a poor reflection on how
bad it actually
is. Bad the fishery is, because it's going to be a hard fall off. Guys are going to catch big giant bags, and it's going to look like it was a slugfest. But the real reality of the situation is not going to be that.
Where are we thinking that drop off's going to be?
25th.
Not even.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be like a bay tournament. The top guy gets 25 pounds, but then all the other guys split and fish in the back come in with 3, 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the winner takes in the 90s to win, but I think by the time you get to 10th place, you're going to be under 80.
I can see that.
That's fair. It's going to drop quick. But however, speaking in that, I think it's about time for us to shift some gears a little bit and to really dive into the old Chober. So
get some picks going.
Well, Zub, why don't you start with our winner of the week?
Yeah. That's exactly what we're going to go with. So as you all know, well, first of all, I just want to say thanks to everybody here. I hope you guys are all watching.
Yeah.
But we got a pretty good showing out in the fantasy group. So thanks for coming out, guys. We appreciate you being there. Yeah. That was really tickles the heart that you're there. And we're so thrilled at it that I'm giving away all of this tackle. No. But I did say
just that poison adrena in the back.
That wasn't, just the only, I wasn't just yapping. We're giving away prizes. So, and we are giving away prizes to the weekly winner. However, there is a catch that my lawyer made sure I disclosed this week. The catch is you must be subscribed to BumsTalkBass. You can't just watch. You got to subscribe, and you got to know that you won. So hopefully you're watching, and I'm going to pull up the winner up here for week 1 in a second. But what you're going to do is, and this is going to be the way for here on out, is if you are number 1 in the group, that's great. Oh, shoot, I have an idea.
What?
Should we make them DM a keyword?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So you're gonna have to watch. Yeah, you're gonna have to watch us. You're gonna have to watch us yap. And even if you skip to here, that's fine. But if you're the winner, you need to use the keyword this week, swim jig. And you need to DM that to us wonderful folks at BumsTalkBass.
Yep.
With a screenshot or something, a verification that you're subscribed.
Yeah.
And I will personally mail you. I am mailing the winning lure of each Elite Series to you. Postage free. So this week you are getting a black and blue swim jig, and I might even get a little generous and throw you in. He put a little casting jig in there too, so maybe you'll get a casting jig too.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Big spender over here.
Yeah,
and
but basically the gist of it is every tournament, all 9 Elite Series tournaments, whatever is the dominant winning bait
technique thing,
you're gonna get at least one of them.
Yeah,
at least.
And
you have to remember
that no one's winning on $1,000 swim bait.
You got to make sure Mr. Zaldane never shows up.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
That could be a problem. Listen, that's the risk I'm willing to take because I'm happy that you guys are watching, but make sure you watch, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you pay attention. So
yeah, if Zaldane wins this week, we're in big trouble.
Oh,
you see what he posted up?
No, what was it?
It's these baits.
Yeah, he posted a
it was one of those.
It's top hook negotiator.
Like, this is what we're swinging with this week.
Everyone else has got their fingers crossed for Zaldane. He's gonna have 50% picks this week.
Yeah,
I just ran out of propane again, so we're gonna start talking. We're gonna start moving. So let's move on out here. I'm going to present and share screen. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start here.
Al, have you made your picks yet?
Where I was watching basketball last time.
Okay.
Hello, John. How you doing?
I'm a little behind.
That didn't go too well.
I've made picks, but I kind of want to talk it through with you guys. I'm not married to specifically one of them, but we'll get to it.
Well, here.
How much did the buckets shift this week?
Well, let's see.
The
First of all,
we pretty much based off of
the points, right?
What their finish was at the St. Johns. So the buckets pretty much look like the leaderboard, which is very interesting. I made the comment to Zub, if you have a second here, we'll show. There's our winner there. You see your name, you know who you are. DM us swim jig.
Connor Cap. Congratulations, you're the winner this week. Please DM us swim jig, and you will get a swim jig and some to your door. And if you don't trust me, I'll mail it somewhere else.
Before we dive into this, Zub, can you pull up Bucket E for me real quick?
Oh, we're going on Bucket E already. All right.
I want to go to Bucket E real quick.
We're also really quick. First of all, the motto of the group is beat Zub. Everybody's doing it.
We all beat Zub. I'm the champion of the three of us.
Champion of the three. I overthought. I switched out Mark way too late.
Even though I had 1100 on day 3, and all 4 of my guys dropped and just absolutely railroaded me from having an incredible week, but I still beat all of you guys. So anyway, I was talking to our old buddy, friend, confidant, recurring guest about the buckets. If this was last year and we started on Toledo Bend, Bucket E could be Bucket A.
Yeah, we got JT, we got T Willie, we got Patty, we got Trey. Loberg would have been a hammer. Loberg, I still love you, but you fucked me this week, dude.
You have Koya,
Fouts, King Koyo,
Fothergill.
If it was 1 degree warmer, we got Greg and Buddy. Even Fouts.
Fothergill.
Yeah. And let's not Fothergill would have been filthy.
I mean,
let's not forget this about first tournament, Tim Dube.
If this first tournament was shaking a minnow, Group E could have been Group A.
No, but it is not.
It's
Group
crazy.
E is Group E on Lake Okeechobee. And I got some work to do this week, fellas.
Yeah, we got some ground to make up.
But I also can't fire too far back. So as I look through, I'm gonna work him back. Let's see here. Stetson is honestly a really solid pick in this situation, and 5.9% think so. He's gonna probably finish very middle of the pack. On other people, Easton, he was on live on day one. People are picking him because he's a hot name. I don't think he's comfy in Florida yet.
He's a northerner.
I disagree.
He's a northerner. He's a Minnesota guy. You disagree?
I disagree.
He's got grass, I guess.
Why do you disagree?
I disagree because he top 10'd the Open at Okeechobee last year. So
there you go. That's
keep
not a bad.
Keep that one in your back pocket.
So that's something he understands, the Okeechobee puzzle. Another person, kind of a little bit. Buddy, I don't know if I trust Buddy. I don't know. Hackney, people think Hack's going to go at it. That couldn't be a bad pick.
A lot of
other guys, Kennedy probably in the middle, Mueller in the middle. Kyle Patrick blanked last week. Not great. But he's angry.
Stephen Kennedy's not a bad pick.
He also Kyle Patrick blanked last week, and instead of hiding from it, he made sure everybody on social media knew that he blanked.
Oh yeah, but figure it out. With the Fothergill's recent successes, doing the whole scoping on it, I like that pick. I think I'm gonna go with Mr. Gill.
That's who I took, Zub.
Well, beggars can't be choosers. What about you, Brennan?
Who I took? I should have kept the information to myself.
I have not picked yet, but Fothergill seems pretty good. But
shut up,
Kennedy in there.
Kennedy. He
top 10 last time, right?
Oh, he did. He did.
Yeah, he was busting them on like a frog and a Senko in the same grass mats as everyone else, but
he did.
He was just wiggling his worm a little better.
He did. See, this is the problem with hosting a bass fishing podcast is all my secrets, like randomly knowing where Easton Fothergill placed in the Bassmaster Open last year. I have to share that information. I would have kept that to myself.
And Zub would have been picking Tim Doob.
Listen, Doob's a sleeper. I'll sleep. I don't sleep on the Doobster, on the Doobinator.
I took him in Dragon Lake. Wish I didn't.
Speaking of other things, let's start with D. We got some old school fellas down here. We got
he's an old school bucket. He's an old school bucket.
He's an old school bucket, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm just gonna put him right now. Because he looks really good. I like Matt Herren for this tournament. Matt Herren, I feel like could really grind out something in these situations.
Well, I can tell you before we get even too far down the list that I took his good buddy and the guy sitting right underneath him. So.
Scott Cameron.
You took Scotty Boy. You took the other Scott.
They are traveling with Scott Martin, so that doesn't.
Yeah, but Scott doesn't help them.
Oh.
No, I mean, Matt Herren.
Who else is in this?
Scott's not a bad pick. Cobb. Al, do you think there could be some sight fishing this week?
There could be, but there's an increasingly small percentage of clean water in Lake Okeechobee recently. So I think there will be some sight fishing, but I think there's going to be way more perspective sight fishing than sight fishing.
Someone that's proficient with that perspective mode.
I would imagine that is going to play quite a bit.
Majorly.
Yeah.
Majorly.
Yeah.
With that in mind, moving on down, we got old Bob, who screwed me last week. Love you, Bob Downey. I don't think I'm going to pick you again. Old Bob gave me the works this week. If you miss a cut, it happens. Don't do it again. Other guys that I really... Ed Larheim, he's a guy that can, sneak in there, but he doesn't really catch my attention. Milliken.
Tyler.
How much is that?
17. It's not as high as I'd expect.
Tyler
It's
Rivette in this
interesting.
bucket just feels like a mousetrap to me.
It
Yeah.
does.
I
You
just
got another guy here too, Welcher too. Welcher's at 21 point. Welcher is more popular than Tyler. Do people forget that Tyler won? I've never seen the previous winner get lower. You know, that's very interesting. What were you saying, Al? Sorry about that.
well, I was just saying I could see Rivette doing well in this tournament, but I don't see him doing the same exact thing he did last tournament. Like I find it more likely to see him do well in this tournament fishing regular than to see him do well doing the live scope thing again.
Are you seeing a Gussie situation? Because I'll tell you right now, I see it being a Gussie situation.
I think it'll be a Gussie situation if the fish are still there. I could also see it being a situation where nobody's fishing it because everybody goes and checks it, and it's not a viable thing to do anymore.
Quite possibly.
So I don't know.
Who do you got here, Brett?
I'd be torn. I mean, I could see it being a Gussie situation, him just having it all to himself again, but I feel like people are getting sick of that. So, and I feel like everyone's going to check it. It's just, I feel like it's going to be the Gussie, just the Gussie situation.
The Gussie dilemma, the Gussema,
the Gussie dilemma.
Gussie dilemma. Gussie's dilemma, we'll call it.
Who else was up top on this bucket? Yeah, it was the Scott Canterbury.
You know, we got the.
I don't know.
You know, it's either those two fellas at the top.
They're a safe bet. They're a safe bet to make you to the cut, get you some good points.
They're good picks on low own percentage too. They're good.
Yeah, I don't think they're booms. But they're not a bust.
No,
I don't think there's a real great boom option in this one besides like maybe a Tyler Rivette.
I think Kyle Welcher is very justly the highest percentage here. I think he's the most proven, probably currently right now, the best angler in this group.
He's a safe bet. Again,
I also like the ability that, Kyle's very proficient with his scope. Kyle is very proficient with his electronics, but he's also very proficient in just his traditional fishing methods, which makes him really a nice, comfortable pick in this situation.
See, but part of the scope also makes me kind of like a little bit of a Milliken, just doing something like scoping in the canal, figuring it out.
I was going to say this before we just kind of moved on. I forgot about it. Milliken is kind of a sleeper here because Milliken is also, as far as I've heard and I've seen on his YouTube, he's also a very good bed fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's
how did Milliken do in the Open here?
The game he's known for, I don't know. Give me a second while I look this up. But he is pretty proficient with his perspective mode, and I could see him being good at that. I'm looking at the results right now, and I'm decently deep, and I don't see his name yet. So, it
wasn't last year, right?
The Open because he was already on the Elite Series.
He was already on those 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So he
has no history here, probably, but
no.
I could see him being proficient with the bed fishing on perspective or doing something weird in the canal like midday and picking up an extra bite.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like a Milliken pick here. I think I do.
That's a good insight.
It's making me question my own pick. It's making me question the Canterbury pick. I might go Milliken. I really might.
Maybe throw him in the middle because, at a low own percentage, Milliken.
I feel like Milliken gives you a bigger boom option here.
For sure.
Okay, Costco.
Awesome.
Calm down.
I mean, Milliken's a well-rounded. I mean, he's not just scope. He could still catch it.
I would not be surprised to see Milliken sitting in our top 10.
Yeah.
No,
I really would.
He's due for one, I feel like, lately.
Yeah.
He
started off about as hot as you could at the beginning of the season last year, and now through one, he's in D. He's not staying in D.
No.
Yeah.
Ooh,
now here is potentially the most interesting group. I've looked at this group already, and there's one reason.
Where is he? Where is he? I saw him.
Hamner?
Where'd he go?
Down. It's in alphabetical order.
Ah, there he is. Oh, is that really what it's in? Alphabetical?
Yep.
Yeah. What, you looking at Mr. Scott Martin with 58%?
That's what I'm looking at.
That's what I'm looking at.
That is what I'm looking at.
Can he do it again?
Here. But they're probably not. However, there are a lot of really, really good fishermen here. You got Drew, and Drew just got his teeth kicked a little bit. He wants to get after it, and Drew's probably being a Florida guy, he definitely has some history here. He knows how they set up. He knows the community holes, and he can finesse them through.
Drew was the reason for my late fall off in fantasy because he was in fourth place after the first day, and I think he finished like 40 something.
Yeah, it was a rapid decline.
And I'm considering picking him again. This is the bucket where I haven't made a decision yet, and the decision is either Drew Benton or Scott Martin. And I originally went Drew Benton because I'm like, I'm not picking the guy with 60%. But the more I think about it is it's kind of playing defense because even if you miss on Scott Martin, well, guess what?
Everybody
else.
Exactly.
So if there's one bucket you can afford to miss.
But if you don't hit Scott Martin, everybody else has that edge.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I think even though my heart kind of said to go Drew Benton over Scott, I think the percentage is so high here that you have to just like live to fight another day.
I agree. It's too early to go too crazy, which is what I did.
What if Scott wins and he gets a polygraph and Hillary Sue gave him one little quick call the other week and boom, DQ'd? Now what?
Actually, that's an interesting question. If you had Matt Herren last week in fantasy,
what happens now?
I don't think it's that advanced. I don't think
your points don't get revised, right? Because that would be unfair.
I wonder if Matt Herren's on here this week. We'll have to look. Is he? Did they kick him off here? Yeah. Wait, where did he finish last?
They took him out.
He actually, I don't know. He might be on B.
Control F that. No.
I don't see him. I think they took him off already.
Wow. Can you imagine? For less than 24 hours, you are kicked out. He's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'd be even crazier if people still had him picked.
Moving on C, though, still, because we have some unfinished business here, because the Drews are both good picks.
Yeah.
Dakota Ebert, another really good pick.
Jordan Lee is in this bucket.
Another really good pick. Even, someone who could finesse out, if you're fishing in a big old grass flat with a trillion other people, I like a guy like Ike. That's not a bad deal.
I think it's very. You can
make a case.
Very easily see a quiet 8th place finish out of Jordan Lee catching like 19 pounds a day on a Senko.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lester wouldn't be a bad pick here either. Lester's someone that could sneak things out. Cody Meyer.
He's
a little spinning rod freak.
Lester's Florida track record is one of the best, location-based track records of somebody who's not from there. And he kind of had a little bit of a letdown for his standards at St. Johns. I don't expect that to happen again.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Even a guy like Porowsnik wouldn't even be a bad pick. Or David Mullins,
And this is the problem here. This is the problem, which is why I said this group is so interesting. The problem is there's a ton of picks I like in Group C, but
you're at the Scotty dilemma. You're at a Scotty
dilemma. You absolutely 100% have to hit when you're going up against 60%.
No, like I can't remember the last time I've seen a higher percentage. To be honest.
That's the thing that's the other thing also is you gotta think like, is he gonna go back to back? Probably not, but he's probably not gonna bomb.
No, he won't. Did he bomb? Where did he bomb the first one though? He didn't bomb, but he didn't.
What, the 2022?
Yeah, no, he caught a 30 bag on day one, and then
23 was it maybe?
No, he won the Open.
No,
last year they went to
Okeechobee,
right? Or it was 2 years ago. Yeah,
last year was 24.
23, yeah.
So
yeah, he didn't. He I remember that first day he cracked him. Yeah.
Yeah, he finished.
I mean, that's not a bad finish for fantasy. I mean, that's a good point.
No.
Oh, good points. We're fishing for points right now. A lot of good picks in C. But Scotty boy, I think you're coming home with me. Moving to B. Another one, man. Get me in the studio. Jason Christie comes right out at me. Looks like a good one for these things. A good grinder. Even Johnny Cruz. Really good one. The Fuentes, I could see him doing a little scoping deal. Bill Davis Jr., good with a little swim jig. Austin Felix, good scoper. Paku, could do a little thing too. Mark Menendez, I regret not picking you last week, but I'm not going to pick you this week. Guys like New, Polinick. Could see you guys in the middle.
Bernie Schultz, baby.
Burn, Mr. Big, the Big B. Ooh, no one's really calling out to me, though. Tucker Smith. He must have had a good finish in the Open.
That's what I was just going to say. What is that about?
He must have had a good finish.
Almost. He did. Is that 18.5 or is that 16.5? I can't see.
Oh, 16.5. That's an overwhelming majority in here.
I was going to say he's the highest in this group, right?
Emil would be a good pick too. There's a lot of guys that are definitely going to finish.
He finished second in the Open.
Well, there it is. A lot of guys, they call out. They don't really call out to me. There's a lot of guys on the finish. Even guys like Clifford Perch going to finish up towards the middle. Knowing Jason Christie's at that next best with that 12.3. I like Tucker.
I took a little bit of a stab here in this group, and I took a guy that doesn't historically do well here, but I can't understand why, because it seems like it's in his wheelhouse. And I just got a feeling like he's going to catch him this week. It's his type of fishery, especially with a crowd. I took Brian Schmidt.
He has a good finish here. I love Schmidt here. I'll lock this in right now. Schmidt's my pick for Angler of the Year.
Wow.
Oh. Capping it off with with his favorite place.
I will guarantee that he will have a top 5 finish in Angler of the Year. But I think if he's ever going to do it, I think this is his year.
It's definitely his kind of schedule. And I mean, a grass fisherman in a place where you're going to have company and you're probably going to be worming and plunking around,
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget, too, remember who had the most outlandish sonar, FFS, whatever you want to call it, set up on the elites. Not any of the rooks, not any of the Japs.
Yep.
But Mr.
Schmidt with 4 Garmins up front. Like, what?
Yeah.
But anyway, or the console, too.
That's what I'm saying. He had 4th console. 3 at the console, right? 3. Either way.
No, 4. That was 4 wide.
4? Okay. I don't even want to think about it. Insanity. However, with going 4 wide, I'm sure he figured out how to use one of them by now.
And we know he can do all the rest.
Yeah.
And we know he can do all the rest. Schmidt is a really good pick here. Palmer always seems to figure him out. I like Tucker. I don't love Tucker.
What's Polinick's actual track record on Okeechobee? Because I feel like he's just
Since you might have it up, what time of year was the Open?
Pretty sure it was like the same time of year.
What time of year?
I don't have it immediately up. I'll tell you in 2 seconds. A little bit earlier. First week
A little
of
bit
February.
earlier. Okay, same deal then.
Almost a month.
Yeah, it's going to be very similar. Especially because this year is a little colder and everything's back a little further. It's probably like timing-wise of where the fish are, it's probably about exact.
Brennan, who you like going on here? What's your deal?
You know, no one really screams out to me here. What was Tucker doing back then? I mean, I'm assuming he was doing some perspective or something like that, just picking them off a little
Yeah, I
more.
mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think there was cameras, so
I feel like this is almost the hardest group to pick from.
I can tell you he was in second place, but he was in second place by 25 pounds. So
that's a pretty good lead. I don't know. I feel like I'd be leaning towards him.
It's not a bad pick. It's a lot of food for thought.
So there's a lot of maybes in B.
Yeah.
There's no like
there's no definites.
Like
there's
it's
no
like
home runs.
It's like I could see Tucker doing good. I can see Schmidt doing good. I could see a couple weird ones like Logan Latuso, like Louisiana flipping, punching. I could see him catching them. You can see John Cruz catching them. You can see Jason Christie catching them. You know, it's a lot of like those guys who can fish shallow, fish grass, flip a jig, punch, do all the type of stuff you need to do there. But
no, you can see Cliff Perch doing well, you know, some high toolies, you know.
Yeah,
I can even see Polnick just getting a 30th place, 35th place.
Polnick throwing a drop shot around, you know, there's a lot.
Yeah.
With that, we got let's go with the heavy hitters now, finally.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Mr. John Cox.
Another John Cox pick fest.
I'm already
I'm
riding some
locked
Cox
in
right
with
now, fellas.
There
I'm riding some Cox. Because I'll tell you what, I didn't pick him last week. I like him more for this one. I do. I really do. I think it sets up more his manner. I think he's going to go to the clean water. He's going to dare to go to someplace in the mix and figure something out. I love Cox for this.
I opened this group, and this was the only group out of the 5 that I did have conviction. I had immediate, strong conviction.
Well,
I don't know why. I don't know how it's going to happen. But I'm telling you right now, timestamp it. I am guaranteeing a Chris Johnston top 10.
I was going to say a Johnston brother.
I'm guaranteeing a Chris Johnston top 10.
I love Johnston.
They had a tournament here in, was it FLW where the two of them were both like top 10? Or was it Bass? There's like, they've done well down here. In Okeechobee specifically.
Here is the thing you have to remember, though. This isn't the Okeechobee that they probably knew and loved. But on the other end of that, they're going to catch them.
But every single thing about this tournament, no matter which way it goes, he can do. If they're doing weird live scoping things, obviously you could do that. But if they're fishing shallow, and especially fishing in a crowd where they got to outfish guys around them and using that perspective mode, I mean, both of the Johnstons are probably the best guys in the field at doing that perspective thing.
No, absolutely. I would agree with that. I couldn't agree with that more because they have so much experience with doing that perspective thing up north.
I don't love Cox for this one because of that idea of fishing around everybody. Cox needs to be away by himself up a little tiny creek in the clearer water, and that's like not what this tournament's going to be.
Yeah.
He's always by himself, not fishing on the ground.
You have the most Chobe experience out of everybody here. Is there some way John Cox can get lost in this and get a reel away from everybody else?
Yeah.
He puts that Vexus in a place where only God can go.
Listen, this lake is in a bad way. It's tough. all that, but this lake is huge. It's huge. That spot it exists right now. It's there. And here's what happened, and it wound up not shaking out and not working in the end, but that was the Scott Martin day one 2 years ago. That was that. Now, is John Cox going to find it? Is anybody going to find it? I don't know, but does that spot exist? Absolutely. Probably 3 or 4 of them exist. But are people going to find it? Because in the same token, the lake is huge to the point where I know that spot exists. But again, short week, 3 days of practice. Yeah. The lake is huge. How much time are guys wasting in complete areas of the lake where they don't know if there's a bass, period? How much time are guys spending looking for that, and how much are guys just down in that south end finding what they can find? I think a guy like John Cox is the guy who's probably going to search for it the most.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if he'll find it, but does it exist? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that is a great breakdown of that. Couldn't say any better. I think I'm going to go ride with my hope with John Cox finding it. I don't know yet, because when I look down I see John Garrett, who just always seems to catch him down in Florida. Maybe he could get on something a little more offshore. Maybe he could use that 360 and his forward stuff just to get that edge.
I can't risk
John Sprees look great. Go ahead.
I can't risk a bucket A pick on him, but don't hate Wes Logan in this spot either.
No, absolutely not. Wes Logan's a really good thing. Look at this disrespect. Coming off a win in Florida, doing Florida shit. 1.3% for Bill. The disrespect.
Ranked second. Oh, John Garrett
second.
Because you get extra points for big bass, and John Garrett had the big bass of the tournament.
I was gonna say that's bizarre.
Disappointing for Dollar Bill. Don't worry, I'm not going to pick you, Bill, but I'll pick you in my heart. With that, Brock Mosley, not a bad pick. A guy like Logan Parks, the Captain Starlink, Mr. Logan Musk.
Even
maybe
Jay.
He has him. Even the swindle, the big G pulled out a really good finish this week.
Love seeing a G-man sneaking into the top 10.
Love seeing it. Good for the sport.
Love to see it. Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting top 10 for sure.
Yeah, it was good. What do you got, Brennan? Who do you think? Who are you thinking here?
I'm leaning when you opened up this bucket before Alex said it, I thought of a Johnston brother. I don't know. I mean, which one did you say, Al? You said you're going with
Chris. I took Chris.
I mean, I gotta go back through some old footage.
Do it. Take Corey. Come on, let's one-on-one it.
Bet on one of the other on the other.
Let's one-on-one it.
I might have to then.
I mean,
if one of them's gonna find them, they're both gonna find them. So
that's a big 3 showdown right here. Chris versus Corey versus John Cox.
Yeah. I like it.
That's a big time bucket A throwdown with the boys.
Might have to do it.
I love it. All right, let me go back in here because we'll do this now then. Al, you're thinking big weight. I'm thinking big weight. We thinking Century Club?
I think I put mine at 95.
I'm going 98.5. I'm thinking they're going to crack them. I think it's stabling out. Yep.
I feel like I'm going to go a little more conservative.
Not 0.98. Yeah, of
I
course.
I feel like I'm going to put an upper 80s. I think I'm going to put an upper 80s. I feel like they're not going to crack them as much.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
Day one, there's going to be like a close to dirty 30, if not a dirty 30, and then I feel like it's gonna tank.
We'll never know. until we do.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably how it will be because that's how it always is. But
that's how Florida is. But I think it's going to drop huge, but we're not picking the drop. We're picking the dub. Now, I think we're going to sage Rain the Lake. But I think we gotta go. We gotta go pick them. So we gotta see what they're gonna do this week.
Yeah. Let's check them out. I haven't looked at them.
Let's check pick 'ems. I don't know how I did last week. I don't know if you can see your score.
No,
not great.
Oh, let's pick them again. Oh God, they're gonna run out of ideas by the end of this freaking show. Holy cow! All right. We got Battle of the Brandons. I think I'm going to go with the Cobfather this week.
I was kind of leaning that way too, to be honest. I don't know why.
I'm liking the Cobfather. I love Brandon. Brandon's going to make the cut this week. He's going to get his ice cream. Wearing the ice cream hat in the pick. Good for you. But Brandon Cobb, I don't know. I do not know. He's due. I just feel like he's due. Maybe he can see a thing. I don't know. I like Brandon Cobb for this one. Canadian Clash. They didn't pick any of the right Canadians for this.
I was going to say the two Canadians that aren't going to catch them.
No, I feel like I'm going to go with Cooper.
I'm going with Coop. I think Coop's going to catch him a little more.
Probably.
Sorry, Gussie. Who knows? Gussie's going to go in the rib canal and just take Tyler Rivette's spot. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Ooh. Tough pick.
I see both of these guys doing well. But I see Jordan Lee coming in 8th and Swindle coming in 27th.
I couldn't agree anymore. I'm going to the sneaky top 10 for Jay Lee. Ooh.
This tournament just screams Jordan Lee is in the middle of the crowd and barely squeaks out a top 10 just throwing a Sanko all week. And you barely even hear from him the whole time.
Yeah.
But he's just there.
He is doing his job.
Then he's on live. He's just reeling in a 6-pounder and just like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I couldn't. Gerald's going to do well, but Jay Lee is going to be real sneaky in there this week. I like it. Scott. Great Scott. War of the Titans, Greg Hatton, Scott Martin.
I feel like if you're not going to pick Scott in the regular fantasy, you got to pick him here.
I still like Scott over Greg. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you got to pick them on both. You're just like...
I love Greg.
Percentages.
I don't know, man. The guy lives there. The guy lives there. That's all you got to say. I mean...
Here, I'll say this, though. If Okeechobee wasn't fishing as tough as it was, I think I'd go with Greg. If you had more opportunities to get away, I'd like Greg. I think Greg, you let Greg get by himself. I don't know how well Greg fishes in the crowd. I guess we're going to find out.
I mean, I think Greg's the better fisherman, but...
Absolutely.
You're in Scott's backyard, so...
No, Scott has... But, sometimes too much knowledge can kill you.
It can. I don't think it's going to.
Nope. If a glide plays this week and I have to give away a glide, it's going to suck, but I really don't think it's going to play this week. But Mr. Steve had a good finish in the Open.
Yeah, I don't think the glide is going to play either, and you can call this a swim bait showdown, but if the glide doesn't play, Zaldane's probably not going to catch him, and if the glide doesn't play, Stephen Kennedy will probably still catch him anyway. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, scoping versus hoping. I saw an ad of Bill Lowen scoping on Mega Live too, so it's scoping and just scoping a little less, maybe. I don't know, but I'm picking Tuck.
I'm picking scoping, but I think he's not
going to be
catch them scoping.
He's not going to be scoping. I'm going to go with Tuck on that. This one's a total toss-up. It's just the fan vote.
Seth is hot. Seth's hot.
Matt. Shout out Matt Robertson, but Matt Robertson is going to wake up with a stage 4 hangover after a horrible practice, and I think Seth's going to be a little better in this one.
Yeah.
Do we like it? Brian, who do we think?
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what my picks are. I feel pretty clear about all of them.
No, I think that's a good thing.
The only one I'm maybe not clear about is honestly the first one, but
I like a Cobb pick on that.
I like it, but I'm saying I don't have conviction behind it. The other ones I feel great about.
I feel like he's just kind of a sleeper.
Yeah.
Fellas.
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad, not bad, not bad. I ain't got too much more to talk about.
No, I think that will do it, especially considering how late it is, and I want to go to bed. But that was a jam-packed hour 20. A lot to get into.
And a lot to get into next week because we got a tournament back-to-back, baby.
Yeah. We'll be back next week to discuss how this ended, and then, we'll have a little bit of a break in the Elite Series action and hopefully a little bit of an uptick in warm weather for us so we can start just
maybe
talking fishing a little bit. So, yeah. So,
and we'll get to pick our next winner.
Tuning in. Yeah.
We will see. Make sure you DM that keyword. Go find it.
Yeah.
Find that keyword. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and we will see you after Okeechobee.
Thank you.